Good morning. It is 6:02, 2 minutes after 6 on this Monday morning. Hope everybody had a magnificent and safe 4th of July holiday weekend. Mike, was yours good?
It was great, Bill. I tell you, we had a wonderful time. We grilled out in the evening. I had something I had to do that morning.
It's all right.
But
grilling out in the middle of that day would have been like you didn't even need a fire.
No.
Just take the steaks or the hot dogs or the hamburger, put them on the grill, and open the top.
Yeah, we put
Let
the
sun
griddle.
cook 'em.
We put the griddle in the sun, and we
Yep.
saved a lot of.
You could have melted
Gas that way.
steel.
Yeah,
Holy
exactly.
cow, it was hot.
Pretty warm. We had Taylor and I went Friday to the Jemison 4th of July celebration.
I heard that was wonderful.
It was. We can talk about it a lot today if you want, but it was so hot. I mean, the only place we could set up was in the sun, knowing that eventually it would drop. The temp would drop and the sun would go down, and we'd be all right
If you live that long.
if we
could make it.
through it. And we did make it through it. Although
Jeez.
I lost a little what do they call it, water weight.
I imagine you did.
Yeah.
Sweat it off.
Yeah, that's right. But we did have lots of cold drinks. We had lots of visitors. Man, it was so neat to see a bunch of our folks and then meet a bunch of folks that had never
That's
heard
what
of
it's
us.
all about. You get
They were
out
like,
there and press the flesh, talk to people, tell them about Piper Peach Radio and Morning Mayhem and all the stuff we do. I think it's a phenomenon. That's the beauty of this radio station that a lot of stations can't do anymore because they've been depleted of live and local people.
Yeah,
they
that's
don't
right.
get out and in the community and do what they used to do or should do. And we still strive to do that. And I appreciate y'all spending all that day out there. And I know the people of Jemison really enjoyed it. And, of course, it just makes it great for everybody.
And it was very entertaining.
Y'all
Mark
had live
Mark
music
Wills
and-
or Mark Willis. I'm sorry, I'm not.
Mark Wills.
Wills.
Yeah,
He was the
he had
headliner.
some big old hits.
He did. And
I
there
like
was
Mark Wills.
There was a young man. I wish I had brought my program. I could have named them all. But there was another young man on there. He, singing all cover songs, I guess. But he did a great job there.
Good.
And I knew what he was singing, and I knew most of the words. So
That's what, people like. Artists like to do their new music because they're proud of it, and they're trying to get more songs out there and showcase their talents as a songwriter. Most people want to hear stuff they can sing along to.
They do.
The covers, because it's just natural if you're wanting to be entertained. When I go to some of these big acts, it's nice that they are smart enough to know that they've got to play a lot of their hits and stuff,
Oh, yeah,
and
that's
stuff
right.
that people recognize and know the words to. And they'll slide a couple of new ones in there once in a while, but once in a while you get an artist, he'll say, tonight, we're going to do I'm going to give you all my new stuff. And you can kind of see the crowd go, hey. You want to
Right.
support them, you want to hear their stuff, but then again,
Exactly.
give them a break and once in a while let them sing along and stand up and clap.
Oh
Whatever.
yeah, well that's a main reason I would ever go to a concert. Just to enjoy a band that I
stuff you
was
already
familiar
know.
with.
Yeah.
Exactly. I'm sorry. That's just what I am.
So y'all had a good time and you gave away $500 Friday night.
$500.
$250 to two people.
And Bill, we were trying to get the word out. I mean, we put it all on the on our Facebook page and everything that we said. We talked a lot what it.
But people
last
still
week.
have to see your face.
Well, they
that's
had
not-
they had to come register there at the
right.
van.
That's what I'm saying. They don't know about it till they see you.
The van we affectionately call Big Peachy or Big Peach, I think.
Big Juicy.
Big Juicy, that's right. Sorry, Big Peachy.
Big Juicy.
Big Juicy.
Big Juicy Peach is what it stands
Yes,
for.
right, I know. But
Big Juicy.
But they had to come by Big Juicy and register. And, we probably had 100 people.
Good.
We were trying, but it was so early. If we could have waited a little while, but the timing was as best we could get.
Oh, yeah, it's what you
The
do.
city accommodated us. Mayor Varden, he did a great job with he was emceeing a little bit of it, and then basically it just ran itself after that. There was a PA announcer, but no one really got on stage. But they let us, Taylor and I, and the Eagle, got up on the stage. She's not in the room now.
The Eagle?
Yeah, she was the
Chrissy
Eagle.
was the Eagle?
She was the Eagle, yes.
Chrissy the Eagle.
Chrissy the Eagle. But anyway, we all got on the stage and got to announce the winners. And, you know, we called a couple of names that we told everybody had to be present. That was the rules.
Right.
But they weren't. Two of them weren't or anything. But later, man, I was back in the back trying to get us something to eat. And, that took a long time.
Oh, yeah.
There were about a dozen food trucks, but
you still got to wait in line. You got to walk to them and get back to the stage
That's
area.
right. When you were back there with all the food trucks, they had all their generators running. You couldn't hear what was going on. It was like you walked into a different room.
So the people could have been there and just didn't hear you call their name. They
could have been there. Is what I was afraid of. Yeah. But you go with what you got, and
that's right.
And we had two very. I wish I had their names. Two very excited people. We took a bunch of pictures, posted them.
I'd be excited if I won $250.
Yeah, and, it was all cash, and it was just fun. And like you said, I felt like almost like a circus barker out there. Hey, come over here, sign up.
So that's kind of what you're doing. You're just inviting people to.
Yeah.
But that's the way people learn about Piper Peach Radio or anything, is the publicity and the visual and being visual. They call it gross impressions. The more times they see you, the more it's going to get in their head. So somebody sees Big Juicy a couple of times and says, "Wonder what that Piper Peach stuff is." It takes a while before they go, I've seen that before, and then they get interested, and then they find out that we're here and we do this every day, Monday through Friday.
Exactly. And another thing, Bill, I'm getting excited about, thinking that we're coming right up. Next month, I believe it'll start, is Chilton County High School football.
Sir.
And I don't mean Chilton County Tigers High School. I mean just Chilton County football in general. And it's going to be
the whole county.
So
and there's
huge.
How many high schools?
6.
And we cover all 6.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. And we probably work in Billingsley, too. In Marbury, they're on the county lines, basically.
Part of the family.
In Otago County. But, we got that coming up. We're excited. We've got a really expanded schedule this season.
Good.
Like last year, we did cover I'm sure we covered at least one game a week. This time,
I think there was times you could have probably covered 10 games a week with all the different schools, but you have to kind of pick and choose.
Well, that's right.
But I don't remember there being an open weekend. Y'all weren't out doing something, or we weren't out at some high school football event.
Yes, and then of course the Maplesville Red Devils went all the way.
Oh, yeah, that was exciting.
And won the championship last year.
Sir.
So, they played, I think, 15 games. That's a lot of football games for high schoolers.
And winning.
For anybody, for that matter.
Did they win them all?
They won them all.
15-0.
15-0.
That's just amazing.
Beat a couple of larger schools, early in their, quote, preseason. And then basically dominated from that point on, in the 1A.
Mike, I was so
program.
impressed with the community support. And I don't just mean Maplesville.
Right.
Although their support is amazing. But the fact that once everyone else in the county they got into their positions and saw where they were going to sit, and here Maplesville was going all the way, they supported Maplesville. And so you have rivalries supporting the one school that could go all the way, and they did.
They did. Probably begrudgingly in a few instances, if you think about the rivalries.
It's
but
like Alabama and Auburn.
Exactly. I have pulled for Alabama, once every 50 years or so. But really, it is amazing. But it's coming up this season. I'm gonna be honored to be able to do some play-by-play games.
Good.
To where I think we'll have several weeks where we'll be splitting the broadcast. There'll be, one part of our broadcasting with Jason Green being the play-by-play will be, on one channel, and then we'll be on another channel, which I think I'll be working.
Maybe 2 games on Friday nights.
Exactly. Because
that's great. We're getting more and more coverage.
That's right. Exactly. And more and more opportunities for people to check us out. And also, frankly, a lot of opportunities for our sponsors if they wish, because I know that is our largest broadcast in general, other than the election. We had a huge broadcast
That's
for
true,
our
the
election
coverage.
It was great.
That's every 2 to 4 years.
Exactly. It's not every Friday night.
No.
But this will be the largest audience that we'll have for these ball games, because a lot of folks, they like to listen to the ball game, especially on the radio for some reason. Bill, you know better than anybody how popular the radio is.
I love listening
even
to
more
games.
so than maybe it used to be.
I love listening to games on the radio, baseball and football. And I've got some great memories of times in years past when I was like in college or just out of college. I lived out of town, and I'd be driving home to visit my family. I might have to have worked all day Friday, and so I'm driving home Friday night, going to visit my family, and I'd be listening to some local football games. It might even be teams like in North Alabama. I didn't even know where they were, but it's just phenomenal. I could just sit and listen to a football game driving along, or a baseball game too in the spring and summer.
Absolutely.
It's just
Me too.
something about the history of that, and it just sounds so good.
It does, and it's exciting because mainly it's what's going on the field, and But
Well,
I
so
enjoy
descriptive.
listening when I'm driving. Like my dad suffered a stroke a little over a year ago, and so I've been visiting
He's in
him.
Florida, right?
That's right. So I've been visiting him quite a bit, and going through on a Friday night, I would drift in and out of this game, and then a few
Local
miles later I'd pick
community
up
games,
this next
yeah.
game, and I would just listen to them pretty much all the way down, or at least for a couple hours, right? On Friday night. And that's always fun to me, to listen to the different announcers. You've heard the term homers, right? You've heard the term homers.
I love to hear the different styles.
There's a guy-
You've got characters, and you got
Yes.
really country folk, and you got
That's right.
more polished people, and it's just that makes part of the fascination and fun for me is just to hear it.
That's why I said. That's why I brought it up. Because it is fun to listen to and everything. Well, hey Bill, it is 6:15.
Oh boy, we got to take a break. We'll be back now. It's going to be hot again today. But it's not going to be as bad. The high today sounds horrible when you say it's going to be around 90, but after the last few days we've had, that's pretty moderate. So high day around 90, and we're going to have a chance of scattered thunder showers as we do all summer long, pretty much. And so it's going to be partly sunny all day today. So just enjoy the weather if you can. Hope you had a great 4th of July holiday weekend. Hope it was safe for you and you had a good time. You're not too sunburned, or in some cases maybe hungover. Who knows?
Yeah.
I know there was a lot of big parties at the 250th celebration. A lot of
250.
fireworks in our neighborhoods.
Hey, we might have set off with fireworks.
I used to. I just, they say the instruction on every firework is put on ground, light fuse, get away. I can do the first two. The getting away part
Getting
now is
away.
not so good for me with my legs.
You need a shield.
I need either a shield or really long fuse or a stick with a match way out there. But anyway, I don't get to. I love fireworks, but now I just watch.
The fireworks we bought, they had that long extension.
They had the long fuse. That's the
it's
one
like,
like
it's
you-
like lighting a what am I trying to say? A stick of incense.
dynamite, like-
incense. You
Oh,
remember
incense.
incense?
Yeah.
The
And
end
it's
of it.
slow burning.
Exactly, and you just get the fuse going, and you give you another foot.
Had got plenty of time to get away.
Yes, exactly.
I
A
need
little
a
more
lot of
time. That's this might be what you need.
All right, we'll take a break, and we will be right back to Morning Mayhem here on Piper Peach Radio. Thank you so much for watching. That's Mike and Dollar Bill with you. We'll be right back.
Looking for the perfect way to unwind, compete, and have fun with friends or family? Then Putter Up Pelham is your next destination. Whether you're a mini golf pro or just out for a good time, Putter Up offers a one-of-a-kind indoor putting experience with custom effects lighting, sounds, and robotics at each hole, plus automated scoring and a virtual caddy to guide your game. And our ADA-compliant courses include special putters for individuals using wheelchairs or walkers, so everyone can join the fun from ages 4 to 100. Rain or shine, day or night, it's always game time at Putter Up. Come for the fun, stay for the challenge. Swing by Putter Up, where every stroke counts. Traditions come and go, but excellent service and compassionate care are benchmarks in any era. That's what Ellison Memorial Funeral Home is committed to providing you. whether through the pre-arrangement process or seeking services at your time of loss. Ellison Memorial offers a noticeable level of care and attention to detail. Others do not. So before making a decision based on yesterday's traditions, experience the Ellison difference when it comes to your loved one's final arrangements. You'll be glad you did. Call us today at 205-280-4600. Ellison Memorial Funeral Home, setting the new standard in local funeral service excellence. We are always here when you need us.
Underage drinking is deemed by many adults to be a rite of passage. Parents who host parties for youth may think they are being protective, but they are actually putting their youth at risk of physical and social consequences. Know the truth. Underage drinking and social hosting is a bad mix. For more information, contact Central Alabama Wellness, 205-651-0077, or visit centralalabamawellness.org.
There's a pride that comes from employing over 6,000 people in America, welding, fabricating, assembling with local and global parts, delivering a machine just right for you. Japanese engineering meets American ingenuity that builds on our 50-year legacy of quality, reliability, and durability that makes us the #1 selling compact tractor in the U.S. These aren't just machines. This is a way of life. And that's why Kubota is investing hundreds of millions right here at home. Because we won't settle on what was good enough yesterday. We're innovating with inspiration from the hard-working men and women that proudly sit on our equipment every day. So you can be sure that every one of us have you in mind when a machine or implement comes down that line. We know how hard you work. We'll do the same. This is Kubota.
All right, we're back. Mike and Dollar Bill.
Good morning, everybody.
It's beautiful Monday, July the 6th already, Bill. It's just
I know.
6 days zips by.
You know what, Mike, though? I'm telling you, after this last weekend, and it was wonderful, with 4th of July festivities, but the heat. I am already done with summer now. I'm ready for fall. I want crisp days. I'm ready for cold nights. I'm ready for football.
That's why I mentioned football. It's like, let's start thinking about that.
But, even those first few games of football's summertime.
Yes.
I like the football games when you get into late September and October when it's dark early and you have those Friday night games and it's dark and it's cool and you can hear the bands playing and, you have to have a little light jacket or a sweater. Yeah, that's what I'm ready for now.
Exactly.
I'm tired of the heat.
I agree. But it will be 2 or 3 games into the season before you get that finally get that little feel of fall in the air, because it's going to be like summer when we start.
Oh,
I know
yeah.
it will. Now,
Those-
feel for those
That
guys.
first
in the-
game is usually one of the last days of August. Or
That's
does
what
it,
I was thinking. It would
seems
be
like
the
it's
end
like
of August. or-
28th or somewhere in there, and then you get the first couple of games in those first few weeks of September are just brutal.
We were talking about that before the break, and I will say this: the Chilton County Board of Education, led by, of course, Superintendent Clements, have just put tons of money and resources into our schools. All their
Yep.
athletic, typically, your fields are all together, right? You got your football stadium, you got your softball field, maybe your baseball field's right there.
Right.
But they're making them into more like a complex
That's what they are now.
with a
yeah.
wonderful singular entrance. Basically like a stadium, a true stadium.
Right.
like Legion Field or Protective Stadium, something like that. Jordan Hare, Bryant Denny. Something that you familiar looking to you. But obviously on a much smaller scale. But I mean, they all are looking so good, and they're busting it right now, Bill, so that they'll be ready for the opening of the
great.
football season to get that get that done. So the aesthetics, that's the first impression, right? I mean, even your own students get a first impression of what your school looks like.
Yeah,
Don't you
well,
think?
it gives you pride if you've got everything looking good and upkept well. I know that I went to one, two, three different high schools, and all three of them were in kept pretty good shape, and they were different. I went to Shades Valley, the old Shades Valley High School back my first year in high school.
Was that up on the hill at Lakeshore? Is that Shades
No,
Valley?
that Shades Valley was down right where the Red Mountain Expressway starts in Homewood. They've
Okay.
torn it all down now when
I
they
see.
built the interstate, but it's right there where 280 hits the Red Mountain Expressway and 31 comes in there and becomes Red. All that right there was about where Shades Valley
Okay.
was
All
in
right.
Homewood, and they had a beautiful stadium for its day. Shades Valley High School had one of the nicest, biggest, fanciest stadiums through the 50s and 60s. Because back then, that was pretty much the only high school for all of South Jefferson County, because there was no Homewood High School, no Mountain Brook High School, no Hoover. Everything from downtown Birmingham south into what is now Hoover went to one high school, and that was Shades Valley. It was huge. And then, of course, they started fragmenting, and
Right.
they moved Shades Valley way out and tore down the original one, which broke my heart. But then I moved to Berry High School, and everybody knows we're in Hoover,
Right.
and Vestavia,
It's on the Columbiana Highway.
Columbiana Road, yeah.
Yeah, a road, rather.
And they did not have that big of a fancy a stadium. I remember it was weird going from Shades Valley to that one. It was newer, but it wasn't as nice, really. And then I went to Poor Marion Military Institute, and it pretty much had a dirt bowl. It was nice, but it was so small, And so, the poor visitor side was basically just a couple of, risers. I mean,
Yeah,
it was,
exactly. I know it well. I know
Yeah.
that's set up.
yeah, so it was funny to go through three different, and of course it also was a junior college and had a junior college football, which is funny because it was probably the smallest of all of three high schools, and the junior college it was still the smallest.
Well,
And they got rid of the football program years ago. This progressive, in quote, not principal, but president of Marion Institute decided that the military was so down thought of. This was back right after Vietnam. He decided to turn the military academy into a prep school and thought it should be more preppy and less military, and it would have saved money if they got rid of the football team. And they never have put it back. They've got all the other sports back. Now it's got girls. It used to be men only. Now it's men and women, and
Right.
they've got softball, baseball, they got basketball. They got a lot of sports, but they never instituted football back.
And it's no longer a prep school. It's
Back to
it's just a junior
exclusive-
college, right?
Yeah, oh yeah, there's no more high school.
Right, that's what I was trying
Once
to say.
they
When I said
became
prep, that's what I meant.
What they did is they sold for hundreds of years, 100 and something years, they were a private school. So back 15 years ago, they became a part of the Alabama Junior College Association. And when they did that, they had to get rid of the high school. There's something in there about you can't own a preparatory school and a junior college together.
Wow.
So they got rid of the elementary, the high school part of it.
Well, you had gotten rid of it, but
I hate it because I graduated from there from high school and also from junior college before I went to Alabama.
well, when I played basketball back in the '70s in high school, we competed against
Did you
Marion
really?
Military Institute.
Where'd you go to high school?
Here, Chilton County High School.
County. I
about
remember that.
half a mile from here.
Yeah.
Yep, sure did. And that was always an interesting place to go.
It could be kind of intimidating.
They would literally march in.
Right.
It was like
all
going to
military.
Army Navy game, that kind of thing. And we were
We all were in
we were the
uniforms.
outsiders,
Right.
but that was all right.
Listen, you were out in the woods, but going
I
to
know
Marion
that- I know that
Institute,
place. I go through
you're
there a
out
lot.
there isolated, and we were the poor old guys back. Of course, it was mainly all men then. When you played them, was it mid or late 70s?
It was late '70s.
All right. Well, then we had girls there by then. Some, not a lot.
We didn't have a girls team. We had
didn't have a
volleyball,
girls
I
team,
think.
but we had girls in the school.
Right. Oh yeah.
So you could
okay.
actually see a few women in the.
I don't
up
remember that,
until-
but probably so.
Well, there would only been like 10 or 12 out of
Yeah.
600 guys.
Right,
that-
yeah.
We didn't have many of those early years, but oh my God, we used to. We were so isolated. Of course, it being a military school, you also couldn't go off campus unless you had a pass to go into town. That's just to go into Marion.
And that's just like 2 blocks away.
Yeah, block and a half, 2 blocks away. So you only got to do that once in a while. And then, of course, going home, you only had like 4 chances a year to ever visit home. So it was like being in prison that way. And so when other teams came to play us, we were just so excited to have fresh blood, somebody to, and of course we were rabid, so it was probably pretty intimidating, but we were just so excited to have new people, new faces. We were just so isolated. It was weird.
I never thought of that angle
Yeah,
of it.
that's why
but,
we were kind of rabid fans. We were almost probably
Definitely.
rude and everything else, but we just had
a
nothing
rude
else.
fan.
Hard
I
to
can't
believe, huh?
that.
I don't think we were rude. We wouldn't have been mean, but I think we were hungry for something, for entertainment, basically.
Entertainment and victory.
Yeah, we didn't have TV. There was one TV on the entire campus in this place called the CQ, and we were not allowed radios over a certain size in your room, and you only had a couple of hours a day you were allowed to turn them on.
Probably had a lot of transistor
We did
radios. Just
they
one little
told you
single
what side. You
speaker.
couldn't bring in a stereo system.
Oh, boom box.
They didn't have boom boxes
Oh,
yet.
yeah, okay.
But you couldn't bring in like a stereo system. You could have a little transistor radio, and you only had like 3 or 4 hours during the middle of the day and 1 hour at night you could listen to radio, and it couldn't be loud. They would actually write up demerits and get you in big trouble if they caught you. Listening to it.
Yeah.
Because I tried to wire it. I had put a pair of earbuds, and I'd snuck it through my desk and had it where I could open my little desk drawer and put them in. And I thought I could jerk them out of my ears real quick and shut the drawer before anybody caught me. But I got caught twice and had to walk demerits
Yeah.
because I got caught unauthorized. What was it called? Unauthorized use of a radio or something.
What's that saying? So the more things change, the more they stay the same, or the more the guy stays the same.
Exactly.
I don't know. You think?
Listen, they don't even do it anymore. But back then, when you had demerits, you were allowed 19 demerits a week. And then they wiped your slate clean. And every week you could get up to 19 demerits.
That sounds like a lot of trouble.
It was. We had a big billboard, and every day we had you had to do guard duty. Every student did, every cadet. And so part of your guard duty job is you went around all day long. You skipped classes that day because you were on guard. And you would go through the barracks and look, and if anybody left a pen on the top of the desk, or their clothes were out of order, or they didn't make their bed tight and all this stuff, you wrote them up on what they called a stick book. It was a little receipt book. You wrote up their demerits, told them I left a copy on their desk, and then you took the copy back and they processed it every night. You had to write up everybody's demerits, and then the next morning they were posted on a billboard. And you could get up to 19 a week and be okay. But if you got 20, that was what they called one penalty tour. And every one over 20, you got a penalty tour. So if you had, say, 30 demerits,
30 demerits.
You had 10 penalty tours. That's 30 minutes of penalty tour. So that would have been if you had 5 hours of work. And what they would do is they put you in your BDUs, your battle dress uniforms, make you put on a backpack. They'd put rocks and stuff in it just to make it 30 pounds or whatever. And you had to walk around this big circle. We called it the bullpen, around this big oak tree. And there was part of the guard when you were doing guard duty, you had to go out there and march them around. And if you were nice, you marched them around a little bit, let them break a little bit. You were easy. And if you wanted to be a jerk, you'd make them drop and do push-ups, and you could be like a drill instructor. And just depending on whether, you were the guard, so you could do whatever you wanted. You couldn't hurt them, but we had some guys that, we had to get revenge on later. They were sadists. They just liked being mean. And you'd get your revenge in a lot of different ways. But yeah, it's funny. That doesn't even exist anymore. Everybody calls it, I think they said it was kind of like hazing, but it was just discipline.
Right, it was discipline.
Yeah,
That's
weren't.
right.
Nobody was.
Now this bullpen.
I had lots of demerits though, because I was always getting in trouble.
Was this bullpen in the front there, around in the front
back.
lawn,
They
in the
used
back?
to be in
Okay.
the front. Then it looked bad to see guys just
Being
all
punished.
These guys just walking in the
Yeah.
hot sun. So they moved it to where you wouldn't see it from the road
Right,
too much.
exactly.
And it's funny those, and you couldn't go into town. You go home. There were a lot of things that if you had demerits, you're okay until you got that 20. If you had penalty tours, PTs, then you couldn't do a lot of stuff. So it was really to your detriment to have them. And if you get 10 and you got to work 5 hours, that's a lot of work to get those cleared. But if you gave blood on the Red Cross blood drive, 20. So man, I gave blood every chance I got. I was a blood donating fool in high school and college. I was always trying to knock those 20 demerits off or penalty tours off, so I could.
A noble cause for perhaps interesting, and we'll just call it interesting reason.
Oh, it was selfish. I didn't, I didn't want to give. At that point, it was just can you take it in both arms? Come on, give me 40.
Hey, Bill, it's 6:35, so we're going to take a break here on Piper Beach Radio, the Morning Mayhem with Dollar Bill and Mike. We'll be right back after these words from our sponsors.
There's a pride that comes from employing over 6,000 people in America. Welding, fabricating, assembling with local and global parts. Delivering a machine just right for you. Japanese engineering meets American ingenuity that builds on our 50-year legacy of quality, reliability, and durability that makes us the #1 selling compact tractor in the U.S. These aren't just machines. This is a way of life. And that's why Kubota is investing hundreds of millions right here at home. Because we won't settle on what was good enough yesterday. We're innovating with inspiration from the hard-working men and women that proudly sit on our equipment every day. So you can be sure that every one of us have you in mind when a machine or implement comes down that line. We know how hard you work. We'll do the same. This is Kubota.
We are back. It is 6:39, 21 minutes before 7 o'clock on this hot Monday morning, humid. It's going to be that way all day today. We're going to have partly sunny skies, high day around 90s. Humidity makes it feel a little worse than that.
And then Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, it's kind of a repeat.
Yes, same thing.
What I saw this morning, I mean, it really looked like the same forecast for
Summertime
days.
in Alabama.
Yeah, exactly. That's right.
Just going to be, sunny most of the time.
Thank goodness for it, right?
Well, I guess
we
the
need
humidity
the rain.
we do need the rain.
Exactly. So we have to put up with it to get it.
I feel bad. They've had some of the funerals over the weekend for those firefighters that were burned alive fighting those fires out in, I think it was Utah. One of them was from Warrior, Alabama, a young lady who was a federal fire jumper. And they were out there, 3 or 4 of them were out there working on a fire, and they did one of those nightmarish things where the wind suddenly, unexpectedly changed dramatically and cut them off, and they burned alive. I can't imagine the horror of that, of suddenly realizing the fire's turned at you and you have nowhere to go, and you're going to run, you're going to try to put that thing over you, that foil thing, but you're probably going to burn alive and die.
It was tragic.
It's just horrible. And this was a pretty young lady from Warrior, Alabama. So she died, and they've laid her to rest. But this humidity and this stuff here, we talk about the rain, and we've had a drought, but we have been pretty lucky. When it gets really droughty, we do get at least some rain and some. But out west, man, they are just burning up. I mean, they didn't get much snow over the winter, so they're just really dry. And the winds, I think the winds, when they said that they turned on those fire jumpers, was gusting up to 100 miles an hour.
It was like a tornado coming at them.
It is a fire tornado.
Fire tornado. And
so anyway, that's a shame, but we're lucky, and we do need some more rain, I guess. I don't know. The watermelons sure look pretty. We've been getting I got one out in the car right now. We could bring it in here and fit on this table. It's huge.
Let's bust that thing open.
Pop that booger. It's we put it in the car, and Mary and I, neither one can lift it out. We've been carrying around. We bought it for the 4th of July. We bought it on Thursday. It's still in the back seat of the car because both of us tried to get it out, and we can't.
Does the car sit in a garage?
No, it's gotten hot.
Oh, that baby's right.
It's ready.
It's been ready. Yeah, I'm afraid so.
Me too.
Maybe not too ready.
Oh, I don't. It feels good, and it's still. It got kind of warm a few times, but I've checked it. But we got to cut it. I mean, we can't wait much longer. But
No.
I hate to cut it in the back seat of the car and eat it sitting in. That's maybe what we have to do.
Try to roll it onto a like a table or something. Or I can roll it out, and
just bust it in the.
Well, I was thinking,
driveway.
Put a table at your tailgate basically, and then roll it on it, and then slide it. I don't know.
We'll
try. Got to do it some way.
It's
I
in
guess.
Mary's little Mercedes, so it's not like in a truck. So
Bill,
it's buckled in.
We got these great sponsors, and we need to talk about them some. We got Chilton Mobile Home Supply, Central Alabama Wellness. Central Alabama Wellness, along with some other companies that I want to mention real quickly, were our sponsors also of last week's 4th of July cash grab.
That's right.
And, they deserve another once through, and we appreciate them making this possible for our listeners. And, there were 6 different people over 5 days that won $250 a piece.
That's a lot of money.
$1,500.
That's a lot of money.
$1,500. And that included Clanton Napa Auto Parts, Refuel Coffee, and Thorsby 3R Rodeo Company. We always appreciate Coca-Cola.
Oh, yes, we do.
They answer the call all the time, but we appreciate them. Moreland's Fine Jewelry, downtown Clanton, Hooligans Arcade, River of Life
Up in Alabaster.
Church. Yes, that's correct. Central Alabama Wellness, again, they also answer the call. Central Alabama Electric, Premier, Pawn and Pistol, and, of course, Woods Surfside Marina, who is a normal or regular sponsor, I should say,
right,
for the Morning Mayhem.
Well, they were nice because they found out we were doing the cash grab and said, "Why didn't you get some money for me?" And we went, "Well, you're already a sponsor. We didn't." He said, "Here," and he gave us $250 to give us that extra extra one for Friday, which was really nice.
And like I said, man, I'm really excited about the opportunities that await our sponsors for Friday night football.
Yeah.
And, Friday night lights or whatever we're going to call it. But Friday night football is huge, and it's just like we just talked about. It's on the horizon. You can almost see it.
About a month.
About a month, a little over a month. It's what, the 6th? So
We got the rest of July and a couple of weeks in August.
They'll be getting. I mean, they're already working out. I see them out there.
How in the world I hope they're doing it early and late.
It was pretty early. In fact, it's
I remember
like on the way home.
When I was a kid, it seemed like we had if we had 2-a-days, you had to be there at like 6 or 6:30, and you were done by about 10:30, and then you'd go back at like 5 and go to 7 or something like that.
I remember those days.
Try to
did
get
that
it where
a
you
couple
could
times.
get it before it was just blistering hot.
Yeah.
Unless you were Bear Bryant in Texas and you got them out in the desert at noon and beat them to death. Just work them to death.
What was that called? The Junction.
The Junction Boys.
Yeah, the Junction Boys. But that was the Junction.
Junction, Texas. Yeah.
That was it when he was at.
He got in trouble for that.
He was at Texas A&M, right? When he was there, and wasn't Gene Stallings one of his players?
I think
ended up being a great coach himself.
And a great man.
Absolutely.
I love old Gene Stallings.
I do too. I got to meet him one time. I was umpiring, part of a softball umpiring association down in Montgomery, and we went over for, I don't know, a conference, I guess I'll call it, in Tuscaloosa. And a friend of mine and I rode together, and we're both huge Auburn fans. And we get there just a little bit late, Bill. I mean, but it's a conference. It's not like it's someone's taking roll, but we're late. But we find our parking spot, and we start making a beeline towards the building it was located. I don't remember what it was called. We spot this man coming. And as he got a little closer, we're like, that looks like Gene Stallings. Had his red jacket on, his crimson jacket on. And believe me, I am not an Alabama fan, but I'm a huge Gene Stallings fan.
Yeah, well, that's, like I'm an Alabama fan, but Shug Jordan.
That's right, exactly.
Yeah, I'd have killed to have met him.
But here comes Coach Stallings across the park lot, and it's, I call it fate. It's not fate, but as it happened, we got there at the same time, and he's like, "Good morning, fellas," like that, and we were like, "Good morning, Coach," and we were all excited because I think it was right after they'd won a national championship, so he was a really hot ticket. And you probably recall, and I think I know a little bit about him leaving Alabama. He's only there 7 years, and probably could have been there 27. If he just stuck, wanted to.
Well, yeah, he got there after a debacle of coaching.
Oh yes, I know.
And it was just he was like the salvation for Alabama
he
fans,
was.
And did very well. And he was a good man of principle and brought back what people wanted in college football, the ethics and all that. He seemed like a stand-up guy.
He was a tough guy, wasn't he? His defenses. I mean, that year that they won the championship, their defense was probably the best. Probably one of the best there ever was.
Yeah.
I mean, I know it was. But anyway, we got to talking with him for just a minute, and our kid had said some remark about Auburn, and he says, "I understand." He says, "They have a fine school." And, he was just took the high road. Don't tell me what he was thinking, but what he said
I think he really meant it.
I think he did too. I really do. And but anyway, that was part of the Junction Boys. That spring training that you're talking about, and I think. They may have won one of their first championships, like maybe that next year or the year after the Junction, after they
before he came to Alabama. Yeah.
Exactly, that's right. And because he also won at Kentucky, before I think he went from A&M to Kentucky,
and then to Alabama.
I think that's right. Although someone can
sure
correct
either.
me on that. If you know Bear Bryant's career history better than me, please correct me. But anyway,
pretty neat.
It was pretty neat to be able to find guys, and of course, guys were dropping off that team all the time. On that Junction team, they were leaving. Of course, I think that was the whole purpose, was to get rid of these, guys who didn't really want to be there in the first place.
I think he was trying to weed out the dead wood.
Coaches
as you
will
would
do
call
that.
it. Yeah, well,
especially new coaches. I mean, they
if you want a good winning team, you gotta.
Sometimes you do. That's right.
Yeah, it's like they say it's the game of life, and what they're trying to do is also teach principles of sticking with it, your stick-to-itiveness. Do you really want something? Are you giving it your all, 100%, 110%, all those life lessons? And some guys who like playing football and wanted to didn't have that much gumption to hang in there when it got tough, and they want them gone.
I mean, it was tough. I mean, the book I read about
that was
they were clearing
overkill.
rocks.
Yeah, that was overkill.
Yeah,
that
right. They played in a sand field, basically, you know.
I think, you know, he was young as a coach then, too. He had to learn his lessons as well.
Yeah.
I mean, he never did that again once he, you know, he was a tough coach. And, of course,
Once
he was
about killed 2 or 3
legendary.
players.
Yeah.
Whoa, that was some rough. But like I said, it paid off in a couple years. The guys said, "Hey, this is nothing like the Junction. You know, however tough
Right.
it was in whatever game, you know, it's not the Junction."
Right.
All right, 6:49, Bill. Time for another break.
Okay.
Here on the Clanton Tractor Studio, you're watching the Morning Mayhem with Dollar Bill and Mike here on Piper Peach Radio. We'll be right back.
Looking for the perfect way to unwind, compete, and have fun with friends or family? Then Putter Up Pelham is your next destination. Whether you're a mini golf pro or just out for a good time, Putter Up offers a one-of-a-kind indoor putting experience with custom effects lighting, sounds, and robotics at each hole, plus automated scoring and a virtual caddy to guide your game. And our ADA-compliant courses include special putters for individuals using wheelchairs or walkers, so everyone can join the fun from ages 4 to 100. Rain or shine, day or night, it's always game time at Putter Up. Come for the fun, stay for the challenge. Swing by Putter Up, where every stroke counts. Traditions come and go, but excellent service and compassionate care are benchmarks in any era. That's what Ellison Memorial Funeral Home is committed to providing you, whether through the pre-arrangement process or seeking services at your time of loss. Ellison Memorial offers a noticeable level of care and attention to detail. Others do not. So before making a decision based on yesterday's traditions, experience the Ellison difference when it comes to your loved one's final arrangements. You'll be glad you did. Call us today at 205-280-4600. Ellison Memorial Funeral Home, setting the new standard in local funeral service excellence. We are always here when you need us.
Underage drinking is deemed by many adults to be a rite of passage. Parents who host parties for youth may think they are being protective, but they are actually putting their youth at risk of physical and social consequences. Know the truth. Underage drinking and social hosting is a bad mix. For more information, contact Central Alabama Wellness, 205-651-0077, or visit centralalabamawellness.org.
us here on Piper Peach Radio's Morning Mayhem. Mike and Dollar Bill here with you, and we appreciate you watching and listening all the time. And thank you so much for that, and for our sponsors who make it all possible. And we hope you're having a great start for this week. You know, when I was a kid, it's funny because when I was a kid, we got out about May 20th and didn't go back to school until Labor Day. So we had all of June, all of July, and all of August before we went to school. So you had 3 full months. Now it's less than that, but we had 3 full months. What was weird was, as a kid, we'd get out of school into May and go through June, and we'd have the 4th of July, which is technically was only about 1/3 of the way through summer. But I always felt like it was a halfway mark.
Halfway point.
It's weird because I always thought right after the 4th of July, I started getting a little depressed because now I was thinking in my mind, summer's almost over. You know, there's not a whole lot we've already gone halfway through summer.
Yeah.
I wish I could go back now as an adult and tell that young, you still got 2 more months of summer.
That's right.
Stop worrying about, because I loved summer, and I was not the best student at school.
What was your summer job experience growing up?
Summer job?
Yeah.
Early, it was almost exclusively mowing lawns and that sort of thing. That was, you know.
And this was in Jefferson County somewhere?
Right in Homewood.
Homewood, okay.
Homewood, Alabama, right out of Birmingham. So I could mow a lot of lawn. Right, my buddy Raymond and Raymond's my childhood friend. We were best friends.
I've heard you talk about Raymond.
We live across the street from each other when we were young. We're still best friends. We're both, we're a month apart in age.
Part of the Columbiana Cigar Club or something, right?
Yeah,
there you go.
I'll get Raymond. He and I'll sit and puff a cigar. But, yeah, so we'd mow lawns and rake and do that, you know, stuff like that.
No weed eaters back then, though.
There were no weed eaters,
right.
and there were no self-propelled mowers. You know, every mower you pushed, I mean, it was you and gravity.
That's right, you and gravity. I've done that many times.
It was awful. But we did that, and then when I got to be about 14 or 15, my uncle owned a hardware store, so out in West End. So I would start working. I would work all through the year on Saturday mornings. He'd come pick me up at 6 o'clock, 5:30 on Saturday mornings. Me and my cousins, and we go out and we work his hardware store all day Saturday. But through the summer, I could work 6 days a week.
Right, get a few hours in.
Yeah, so it was
Make
good.
that $2 an hour or less.
Oh, it was $5 a day.
There you go.
I had to, but he fed me. I got $5 to work all day, and I got breakfast and lunch because he.
So that was worth $2 or $3 right there, probably at least, wasn't it?
$1.50.
Even back then,
$1.50.
Yep, that's right.
So then, when I got to be a little older, in that driver's license age, I worked for a friend of mine named Mackie Warren in Vestavia, and he had a place called Mac's Quick Sack, and it was basically a 7-Eleven without a gas station. It was just and I worked for him all the way through college, basically, or until I went to college. And then when I went to college, I worked radio stations and Taco Casa in Tuscaloosa.
Sweet.
And then I never stopped working. Of course, I worked, once I was in college, I never stopped working radio. So I've been fully employed in radio since 1973 till I retired.
How about that? Well, even today, you're coming in a couple days a
This
week.
is fun. I enjoy doing this. You know, this is really therapy for me, because once you do something 6 and 7 days a week for 50 years.
50
you
years.
just can't. I couldn't turn the switch off. I mean, I'm glad it got to where it was really grueling for me, especially for the company I work for. I work for iHeartMedia, and I'll be honest with you, they are they're not a good company to work for. They're destroying much of what radio should be.
Well, you just talked about the live or local, I'll call them, I guess,
Right.
personalities.
They don't believe in it.
They don't exist.
No, they don't believe
a place
in it.
like that.
They want it automated and centralized, and so they're laying people off they've laid people off by the, I think more than thousands. I think maybe 100,000, because they are the largest media company in the world. They own like almost 1,000 different radio stations, 1,000 in 50 states. That's a lot of radio stations.
20 in a state average.
And they are they just don't want anybody working for them. They try to cut everything they can. They've, for instance, in Birmingham, we were in our cluster for iHeart. We had all of the Birmingham radio stations, Tuscaloosa radio stations, Gadsden, and Huntsville, Decatur. Seems like I'm leaving, maybe Montgomery. In our cluster in Birmingham, we had 35 people working in our department.
Yeah.
That's on-air staff, 35. They now have 3. Same number of stations, same jobs, 3 people doing what 35 struggled to do competently 8 years ago.
Well, that's just the digital age
Yep.
where it can be,
Everything
where
now
everybody,
is
where it can be
syndicated.
done from one room.
I went from just doing the morning show in Birmingham, which took a lot of work. That was 5 and 6 days a week. And we worked we had to do all the concerts. We had to do remotes. We had to go out and do any
Like you said, you had to
special
be out
events.
to get your name and your station out there.
And it was just part of business. If
That's
you
right.
sell remotes, you had to go work the remotes. If there was something going on we needed to cover, by golly, we covered it.
Well, that was your commitment to your sponsors too, right?
And to our station,
Yep.
and to the community. That's the thing. We used to be committed to serving the local community. But then I started doing mornings in Birmingham. I had to do more afternoons every day in Tuscaloosa, which now means I had to go to everything in Tuscaloosa. So I had to all the concerts down at the amphitheater, had to go down there when they had special events in town, all this stuff. Now, I started that when I was in my 60s, early 60s. Then they added I had to start doing a syndicated national show. So I was doing a show in 42 states, 6 hours on Saturday, 6 hours on Sunday. And that's every Saturday and Sunday.
6 straight hours?
Uh-huh.
Wow.
Yeah. And so
That's a long time,
it's
Bill.
a long time, but that's what they got you to do. So there was, 4 people covered 24 hours. So they only had to pay 4 people to cover a full day. And this was crazy stuff, and now, and that, of course, was not live and local. You had to have that cut 2 days ahead of time, and that's a 6-hour show you had to have ready to go in the can. And that took hours and hours if you wanted to do it right and do it well.
Sure, of course, and I know you did. You've
I
always
did.
done
I was
that.
very dedicated to it. So it was crazy that when
But
I
it's
hit
true,
about
though,
age 60, when I was hitting about age 70, I was working probably, no joke, and I'm not trying not to exaggerate here. I know it had to be 60 hours a week. And then that includes the fact that I was getting up every day at 3, doing the morning show, doing the afternoon show, doing a remote in the afternoon, driving to Tuscaloosa maybe, or to the Civic Center at night, or to the Tin Roof, working till sometimes 11 or midnight after being up since 3, going home and getting 2.5 hours sleep and getting up the next morning at 3.
Man.
And this could be going for days. This wasn't just once in a while.
Right, it wasn't an exception.
And that's the way they did. And then if you'd tell them, say, look, I need my local bosses were phenomenal. They tried to take care of us. If we worked a day like that, they'd say, just come in, leave when you get off the air. Don't hang around. Don't do extra work. Just go home, get some sleep. But iHeart, if they had found out my bosses were telling me to do that, they'd probably fired them.
Yeah.
They wanted blood from that.
They were
tournament.
cranking it out, weren't they?
They wanted
Regardless
they
of
wanted
who
their
got
money's worth.
caught in the machine.
So that's the only thing that bothers me is that now so much of the corporate radio is awful for communities. There's almost nobody. Tuscaloosa, for instance, all the iHeart stations in Tuscaloosa, which included ACT, which stood for Alabama Crimson Tide, they were the Alabamas
Network.
and several others. There's not a living human being in Tuscaloosa now on that radio station. You go down there, it's an empty building. If you can get in the door, look in the windows, you'll see little things moving on the lights on the boards. Not a living human being goes in the building, but once a week to check, for
Make sure the little lights are still working.
yes, to make sure that all the tubes are working. And
Oh my gosh.
and it's so sad because there's no living person in any iHeart station in Tuscaloosa. There's not. I think there's one person in Gadsden. There is one person in Huntsville, Decatur, which had DRM, which was a monster radio station for Huntsville, Decatur. They had ratings that everybody in the nation couldn't believe. They had like 40% of the entire Huntsville, Decatur listening to that one station. And there's one person there now. Blair.
That just seems such
Blair
a shame.
Maples.
You know, we're going to have to go to break, but let's come back and we'll talk more about that. I have some questions I'd like to ask.
Before we go to break,
okay.
That's the beauty of this place.
There you go.
Right
That's
here.
what I was going to come back and talk
well,
about.
I just want to say that's why I love being here, because that took not just all the fun out of radio for me, but it also was ethically improper, because radio stations are made and built to be pillars of their community, to be integrated in the community, part of the community, support the community, and now that doesn't hardly exist in the big cities, especially in a lot of the little cities where there's just nobody alive anymore, nobody local. They don't care.
Well, we do care.
We do.
Here at Piper Peach Radio, and we're here serving you. We thank you for you listening and watching.
Yep.
And I tell you what, we're a little late on our break, so we're going to go give a little extra time for our sponsors right now, and we'll be right back here on Piper Beach Radio. You're watching the Morning Mayhem with Dollar Bill and Mike. We'll be right back after these words. Bye.
Looking for the perfect way to unwind, compete, and have fun with friends or family? Then Putter Up Pelham is your next destination. Whether you're a mini golf pro or just out for a good time, Putter Up offers a one-of-a-kind indoor putting experience with custom effects lighting, sounds, and robotics at each hole, plus automated scoring and a virtual caddy to guide your game. And our ADA-compliant courses include special putters for individuals using wheelchairs or walkers, so everyone can join the fun from ages 4 to 100. Rain or shine, day or night, it's always game time at Putter Up. Come for the fun, stay for the challenge. Swing by Putter Up, where every stroke counts. Traditions come and go, but excellent service and compassionate care are benchmarks in any era. That's what Ellison Memorial Funeral Home is committed to providing you, whether through the pre-arrangement process or seeking services at your time of loss. Ellison Memorial offers a noticeable level of care and attention to detail. Others do not. So before making a decision based on yesterday's traditions, experience the Ellison difference when it comes to your loved one's final arrangements. You'll be glad you did. Call us today at 205-280-4600. Ellison Memorial Funeral Home, setting the new standard in local funeral service excellence. We are always here when you need us.
Underage drinking is deemed by many adults to be a rite of passage. Parents who host parties for youth may think they are being protective, but they are actually putting their youth at risk of physical and social consequences. Know the truth. Underage drinking and social hosting is a bad mix. For more information, contact Central Alabama Wellness, 205-651-0077, or visit centralalabamawellness.org.
Good morning. We're so glad you're with us. Thank you for watching and listening to Morning Mayhem with Piper Peach Radio here. It is 7:08, 8 after 7 o'clock. What did Wanda say? She wanted to...
One of our listeners wrote in and she said, Dollar Bill, what was the name of your uncle's hardware store in West End? And do you remember where it was located? And you said?
Yes, it was Massey Vance Hardware. Been there since, I think, 1901 or something. It was there before World War I. and it survived until the
Wow,
70s.
that's a long time
It
ago.
was. It was 2 generations, and my uncle was Jim Vance, and we were right between Four Hand Cleaners and Mr. Brown's Barbershop at Pearson Avenue and something right there by the railroad tracks. And there was Four Hand Cleaners. There was West End, I think it was West End Drugstore. There was a Burger Chef.
I remember Burger Chef.
Yeah. Or maybe it was Burger in a Hurry. Burger Chef, I think.
Well, I remember our Burger Chef. I don't remember Burger in a Hurry, though.
Yeah, there was Burger in a Hurry,
Yeah.
Burger Chef. They
Yeah.
all competed with McDonald's, Jack's, Burger King, you know. But anyway, it was right there in West End, and it was magnificent. It was not too far from. It's funny because just down the road was a furniture store. You remember the guy in radio named John Ed Willoughby?
Oh, yeah.
It was TC and John Ed.
I do remember that.
John Ed's dad owned a big furniture store in Powderly, and that's where I met John Ed when he was in high school or college. When I was a kid,
I remember those guys. They were great together.
yeah, they worked
Yep.
great together. Big radio team, morning show team. Anyway, John Ed's sister, little Bit, they called her Bit because she was about 4'11" and cute as a button, cute girl. She was my social studies teacher at Berry High School. But yeah, so that's where the hardware store was. It was a great learning experience. I've told people, I said, I went to Alabama, got a degree in Alabama, but I learned more in that hardware store. I learned electrical, I learned plumbing, I learned all kind of neat stuff, how to cut glass, how to thread pipe, because this was the old school hardware store. When you came in to buy nails, you picked the nail you wanted,
Out of
and
the
we
bin?
scooped them up and
Exactly.
put them
By
in
the
a
weight.
big double weight bag.
By whatever
Bought
weight
about-
they bought, right? I want 2 pounds of,
pound to number 3, number 2.
whatever. Exactly.
10 or
Yeah, I
10
remember
penny.
those.
And I cut glass, custom. They'd come in. We had big sheets of glass, and you'd cut it, measure it, and cut it.
Had the
wrap
bins
it.
that you just spin around. Like
what?
a lazy Susan, you had
Yeah.
the bins full of all
And
the
you had all
nails
the
and
different
screws
thickness
and
and
nuts
the
and
bins.
bolts.
Yeah,
Yeah.
We had that for grass seed.
With the weight, the scales. I mean,
Yep. You'd
right
have
next
to
to
put
it.
it in the metal
Yep.
scale. And
Oh
get
yeah.
what they want.
We had Bell
We'd always-
Hardware's one I remember, and then across the street was another one.
We'd put their nails in if they wanted a pound of whatever. We'd do that, and then my uncle always said, after you get it, and they see that you got 1 pound of nails, grab one more and throw it in there for them. It doesn't matter much, but it just shows them that you're.
On their
It's
side,
kind
I mean,
of like a baker's dozen.
absolutely.
Give
right.
them one extra.
Right.
So I'd grab one, or if they were little nails, I'd just grab a little pinch, throw them in there. It just goodwill, but it also taught me to deal with people, because when you work retail, that's like a degree in working with people and interpersonal, because you got people that come in there that are happy and sad and mad. You got people who are frustrated. You got people that are poor. You got people that are going through a divorce. You got all kinds of people, and they treat you reflecting on how they are doing in life. And you got to learn. My uncle did believe. I mean, not if anybody got abusive, he wasn't going to put up with that.
Yeah, that's different.
But
Yeah.
because he did believe, the customer isn't always right, but you always treat every customer with respect. And we were also in a difficult time, because this was in I started working there in the mid-'60s. Racial tension was awful in Birmingham, and we were in West End, where there was a white flight going on, and black people were moving in, and there was all kinds of emotional conflicts and disruptions, and you had
turbulent, wasn't
a
it?
lot of turbulence.
Yeah.
But we were we had white and black coming in then, because it was a hardware store, and on that deal you had people who came in, black people who were angry at white people, and of course we were white owners of a business. We treated them with the same respect we would anyone.
Absolutely.
And we made some great friends, but you also had to deal with people who were frustrated and angry, and you had to deal with the same thing with white. But we also had the weirdest stuff, because you had people come in with strange. One time we heard the back door making a noise. We had a front door and a back door. Back door was bigger for bringing in and out.
Sure, right.
Stock. And the door, I look up, and in the back door was coming a shower stall. The whole shower stall was walking in. The guy was behind it. It was a fiberglass shower stall. And he was bringing it in the store because he didn't know how to plumb it. So he just brought the shower stall to the hardware store.
He needed a little coaching.
And me and my uncle plumbed it for him. Put the shower head in and ran and cut some pipe and whatever.
And helped him get it back on his truck.
And then we helped put it back.
Yeah.
We also had a guy come by one Saturday morning and show us this gyrocopter he had just put together. And he needed something from us, like a wing nut or something.
Which is like just a little helicopter, right? Like a remote control helicopter?
No,
is that what
this
that
is one
is?
he was going to fly. It was on the back of a trailer.
Okay.
And a gyrocopter, what it is has a freewheeling helicopter blade that has no motor to it, but it's tilted. And what you do is it's got a pusher. It was like a big lawnmower engine with a pusher blade, a propeller. And what it does is you get out on the field and you let that pusher blade get you going, and air coming up through the rotor blade, you can lift up and fly around. And it's it's like a helicopter, except it has no engine pushing the.
Did not know there was no engine.
It's only a pusher. The blades are what they call freewheeling. So basically, when you just cut the power, you were auto rotating all the time. They're actually very safe and they're neat. I always wanted one, and I never bought one or built one, but it was a Benson gyrocopter. And this guy came by, and it was brand new. He'd been working on it for weeks in his garage, and he was taking it out that morning to fly it for the first time. And he needed some parts for something in a bungee cord, so he came in the hardware store. We got him all, made sure it was tied down good so he could take it out and fly it. And then he left, and we didn't think anything more about it. And that was like at 10 in the morning. About 4:30 that afternoon, he comes back in, and his head's all bandaged up. He's got black eyes. He's all beat up.
Crash landed.
He crashed it first time. And he said, we went out and looked, and it was on they'd put it up on the trailer, but it looked like it was just junk.
Salvage.
You could see part of the blades. You could see part of the little cockpit, one wheel, and the engine with the broken propeller. And it turns out he'd never flown a gyrocopter in his life. He just liked the looks of it and thought it'd be fun to fly. So he just thought he'd build him one and then learn to fly it when he took by himself when he went out in the field. He hadn't even hard, and he said he was flying with the book, trying to
as he's in the air.
Yeah,
for that short period of time.
It was a very short period of
Golly.
time. I think he flew it for about like a bull ride, 8 seconds.
8 seconds.
He got it off the ground, and it just didn't. Thank God it didn't kill him.
I was just going to say, man, it sounded like he's lucky he was alive.
Yeah, we asked him, was he going to rebuild it? He said, nah, that was enough. It was good.
Oh my gosh! Well,
we saw stuff like that and we still sold stuff you don't even think of almost nowadays. We sold straps you put around your ankle of your pants to keep your pants from getting tangled up in the gears of your bicycle. We sold irons. We still had some irons that you put on a stove to get it hot, just a cast iron. It had no cord or anything. You just put it on the fire on the stove, and then you ironed with it.
I remember those.
Do you know what a combinet is?
Combinet?
Combinet.
I do not, I don't think.
What if I called it a slop jar?
I don't know that.
Thunder mug?
Don't know that.
It's an indoor toilet. It's a pot that you use the bathroom in at night because people still had outhouses. And if it's a really rainy, stormy, or cold night, you just pull this pot out from under your bed, use the business in the pot, put the top on it, slid it back on the bed, and you emptied it the next day.
Yikes.
Yeah, and we still sold those, and we actually would sell one once in a while. But it's called a combinet because that was the proper name for it because of the combination of number 1 and number 2 you could put in it. But it was also, the colloquial names was thunder mug, slop jar. There was all, but we sold those. I can't believe I'm old enough now in life to say that I actually sold several of those things.
How about that?
Well, I also mixed paint. And back then there was no computerized thing. They came in and you got a thing of white base paint, and you had these tubes of goo that you had a little thing that said, if you wanted this color blue, you use one color of green, one color of yellow, 2 drops of and you did it, you stirred it up, and if it didn't look right, you'd add a little. It was all. You
Skill.
couldn't match nothing, and you could buy 6 cans of the same color, and they wouldn't even be close. And I got
That
pretty,
extra drop or two made a difference, doesn't it?
It was like horseshoes and hand grenades. You just got close. And I remember one time I was young. I was 14, 15, whatever. Wasn't paying attention, and I put the stupid gallon of paint in the paint shaker and didn't secure it correctly. And it started shaking paint, and the top popped loose. And my poor uncle, I was spraying latex paint, sloshing it all over his store.
It's amazing how
everything.
one little gallon, how far that can go, right?
Oh my God.
I know water's the same way.
I spent that day and many subsequent days just trying to get paint up. Thank God it wasn't an oil paint. Because if it had been oil, I'd had to use kerosene and turpentine
Might
and that
have
kind
to close
of
the
stuff.
store down to get that
So
all.
I got it with water, but and then after it dried, I had to use other solvents. But oh my God, my uncle's so mad at me, and I don't blame him because I wasn't paying attention.
Well, I remember those things that you kept under your bed, being called chamber pots.
That's it. That's another name for it.
Yeah, exactly.
I forgot chamber pot.
Well, look, it's 7:20, so we're going to go to break, and we'll be right back after these words from our sponsors here on the Morning Mayhem. You're watching Piper Peach Radio.
There's a pride that comes from employing over 6,000 people in America. Welding, fabricating, assembling with local and global parts. Delivering a machine just right for you. Japanese engineering meets American ingenuity that builds on our 50-year legacy of quality, reliability, and durability that makes us the #1 selling compact tractor in the U.S. These aren't just machines. This is a way of life, and that's why Kubota is investing hundreds of millions right here at home. Because we won't settle on what was good enough yesterday. We're innovating with inspiration from the hard-working men and women that proudly sit on our equipment every day. So you can be sure that every one of us have you in mind when a machine or implement comes down that line. We know how hard you work. We'll do the same. This is Kubota.
Good morning. We are back again. Thank you so much for watching and listening to Piper Peach Radio here in Clanton, of course, on a morning that is a little hard for a lot of people because we've got people partied hard or we're working hard, staying out in the heat. I know we were on the 4th, we were at Lay Lake.
Yeah.
And oh my God, I looked up one time from the deck. We didn't go out. It was like, I hope nobody hits each
Like
other.
a flotilla out there, wasn't it?
Flotilla going in all directions. Right. And of course, you got big, pretty expensive boats. You got pontoon boats. You got little runabouts, and you got sea-doos and wave runners, and you got the wave boats, wake boats, and oh my God, it was and going in all directions. But it looked good. I hadn't heard of any problems on Lay Lake. I hope nobody had any.
I didn't hear of anything, so hopefully it was a good, safe weekend for everybody.
But it's a hard weekend in the sense that some people, the heat and you cook out, play hard. Monday can be kind of tough.
Yeah, man.
I know yesterday looked pretty dull. Only thing I saw yesterday a lot of people with boats on the back of their trailers coming back from the lake,
heading back in.
Heading back
That's
in.
Right. That's right. Well, I want to thank a few of our sponsors here. Obviously, we have Coca-Cola. We mentioned them earlier.
Yes,
we appreciate
thank you,
them.
Coca-Cola, Mike.
Larry Puckett Chevrolet and Putter Up and Pelham.
Putter Up. I hadn't been in a while. I need to go back up there.
I was thinking the same thing.
Beauty of Putter Up is it can be 110 degrees outside, and it doesn't matter because Putter Up is indoors.
That's
you can
right.
actually do the Putter Up golf, and you're inside.
Exactly.
Very comfy.
Well, we got a message, Bill. We've been kind of going down memory lane, which is absolutely
I'm sorry.
so much fun.
I get off on these tangents.
No. I don't mean to be sorry. I'm saying it's great. It's fun. But I mentioned that Wanda, in response to your response about where your uncle's
hardware store was
and what the name was.
Yeah.
She said, "What about Spivey's toy store?"
Spivey's Five and Dime. It was in West End, and it was the mecca for young people to go especially if you're for all kind of toys. It was like. Yep. It was not really, he called it Spivey's 5 and 10, and it did have all the, novelty stuff a lot of 5 and dime stores had, but it was a mecca for toys, but especially model airplanes and cars. To this day, I can remember looking at the plethora of boxes of cars and ships and boats and trains and all these models.
Exactly.
And, he had all the old school models. Like, I loved putting airplane models together. That was my deal. I loved airplanes. And I loved everything. But he had some of the old school model airplanes that were all wood. When you got the box home from buying your model, it wasn't a plastic thing. You just either popped together or glued a little bit with that Testor's plastic glue.
Yeah,
no,
right.
You had to have wood glue and a razor blade and a knife and because when you open that box, you got the instructions, the templates, which is pieces of stiff paper that had the wings and all that you had to cut out of the paper, then lay them on top of blanks of really thin balsa wood. And cut that out.
Carefully cut it out.
Cut carefully and sand it.
Paint
and
it.
then glue it.
Oh, glued it and paint it last.
And that was the hard thing. There was no super glues back then. No glue.
They didn't snap together
no,
either.
You had to put the wing on the airplane, usually, and then come up with either some kind of weird way to take pins and tape and something, because it had to sit immovable for an hour and a half before the glue set, maybe 3 hours. I know many a time I thought I had it secured, and I'd go off to eat dinner and let it sit for a couple hours or go play, come back, and to my horror, while it was sitting, it had moved and then glued.
Gravity.
So then you pick up the plane and the wings all screwed up. Then when you try to undo it so you can re-glue it, things would tear and break and rip, and
it was
awful. I mean, it took a real skill to put those things in.
It was a skill.
A lot of them you even had to, like when you built a wing rib and you built the wing for the airplane, you then had to take tissue paper and paint what they call dope on the wings. It was just a thin glue, and you stretched the paper over the wood frame and get it really smooth and let it dry. Then you painted the whole thing with dope about 3 times to seal it, make it firm so it
Stiffen
wasn't
it.
tissue paper,
Yep.
and then paint it.
I was just going to describe a model that I saw in my grandparents' house that my dad had when he was a little guy.
Oh, boy.
And it was about this big. It was an airplane. And he had that fabric or that paper stretched
Right.
over because they were, well, they'd been handled and crashed. They'd played with it and whatever. And it had a tear
Had
here.
finger holes in it and
exactly, a
stuff.
finger hole. There you go. That's exactly what I was trying to say. But I remember that thing, and it was so cool, though. It was so lifelike.
Right.
The engine and everything was so detailed. It was like a fine piece of artwork. And but it was very old because Daddy, he was probably in his 40s then. We were looking at it when I was a teenager, and I remember him talking about all the other models he had. And he had a box I didn't even know he had with all these models in
Wow.
it that he had made and or put together, assembled. And it was just really cool because that was his entertainment. That was his Xbox. Like guys play today. Or
like-
PlayStation.
Back then, these things could take days, maybe weeks to
Oh,
put
yes.
together if you were going to do it with detail and precision.
Yes.
And because it was a tedious process. It took a lot of, and you couldn't just throw them together because stuff had to dry, and it took a while, and you had to do coats, and then you had to paint it, and then you had to detail it. It's amazing. We don't seem to. The only thing I can see that's kind of close to that now is they still do have radio-controlled or U-line airplanes that you might have to build more from scratch. But even now, everything's popped together, plastic and
Yeah, I remember
synthetic stuff.
back in the 80s when my first job out of college was with Radio Shack. I was a store manager.
I loved Radio Shack, by the way.
I lived in Columbus, Georgia, which was back then. Well, I'm sure it is now still. I mean, it was.
I think all Radio Shacks are gone.
They pretty much are. If they aren't, they're an independent Radio Shack, which they had.
And by the
back
way,
then.
I would like, as a trivia thing,
Yeah.
I have been in the Radio Shack in Columbus, Georgia.
Oh, really? One of them?
Yep.
Wonder which one.
Downtown, somewhere
Okay,
near
downtown. All right. This was not downtown. This was outside. It was on
okay.
Auburn Avenue. I mean,
gotcha.
how could I forget that?
My uncle owned a hardware store in downtown Columbus, and my uncle and aunt lived there, so I used to go to Columbus all the time.
How about that? Yeah. Well, I don't doubt it. But anyway, I was just thinking about right next to the store there was a gentleman that had I'm trying to remember what he called it, what the store was, but he had all kind of models
Did he?
and
Like a toy and hobby shop?
hobby shop. That
Yeah,
is
the
the
hobby
word.
shop.
That's what it was. And he was also a great. He was a great artist. He carved all kinds of
Oh,
things.
I wish I could do that.
And I remember I traded with him for a stereo system from Radio Shack, which I bought at my employee discount
Right.
cost, and traded him for this beautiful duck that he did. And I gave it to my dad on his 50th birthday, which
Oh,
was back
neat.
in '85. And I found that thing recently. We were getting this house all cleaned out and everything. And I found it, and now it's in our house. And, I thought about taking it to him, but I don't know. He doesn't really appreciate anything right now. So I think I'd rather preserve it for the family, for
Your
generations.
dad was born in 35.
35, yep.
Happy day.
He's about to be 91
That's amazing.
this month, actually. But I was just going to say also that that thing is just absolutely so lifelike. You would think it was a duck,
real duck.
a real one. I don't know if it's a mallard or what. I'm sorry, I don't know my ducks well enough.
No,
but
I'm-
I'm not a hunter
I've heard
either.
of mallard, and that's
Yeah.
about all I know.
Right?
And everything else goes quack and has web feet. That's all I know about ducks.
Yeah. All right. Well, look, it's 7:33, Bill. We're going to go to a break.
I'm glad Wanda asked me about Spivey's. That's one of my childhood go-to for wonderful memories.
Well, I'll tell you
Of
about
sitting there
being in
just
a.
looking at all the stuff.
If we want to talk about toy stores, I want to talk about FAO Schwartz.
Oh, been there in New York.
Chicago. In Chicago is where I was.
I went to New York.
We can talk about that after we get back from this break.
I still hear angels singing when I think of FAO Schwartz.
We'll be right back.
There's a pride that comes from employing over 6,000 people in America. welding, fabricating, assembling with local and global parts, delivering a machine just right for you. Japanese engineering meets American ingenuity that builds on our 50-year legacy of quality, reliability, and durability that makes us the #1 selling compact tractor in the U.S. These aren't just machines. This is a way of life. And that's why Kubota is investing hundreds of millions right here at home. Because we won't settle on what was good enough yesterday. We're innovating with inspiration from the hard-working men and women that proudly sit on our equipment every day. So you can be sure of us have you in mind when a machine or implement comes down that line. We know how hard you work. We'll do the same. This is Kubota.
Looking for the perfect way to unwind, compete, and have fun with friends or family? Then Putter Up Pelham is your next destination. Whether you're a mini golf pro or just out for a good time, Putter Up offers a one-of-a-kind indoor putting experience with custom effects lighting, sounds, and robotics at each hole, plus automated scoring and a virtual caddy to guide your game. And our ADA-compliant courses include special putters for individuals using wheelchairs or walkers, so everyone can join the fun from ages 4 to 100. Rain or shine, day or night, it's always game time at Putter Up. Come for the fun, stay for the challenge. Swing by Putter Up, where every stroke counts. Traditions come and go, but excellent service and compassionate care are benchmarks in any era. That's what Ellison Memorial Funeral Home is committed to providing you, whether through the pre-arrangement process or seeking services at your time of loss. Ellison Memorial offers a noticeable level of care and attention to detail. Others do not. So before making a decision based on yesterday's traditions, experience the Ellison difference when it comes to your loved one's final arrangements. You'll be glad you did. Call us today at 205-280-4600. Ellison Memorial Funeral Home, setting the new standard in local funeral service excellence. We are always here when you need us.
Underage drinking is deemed by many adults to be a rite of passage. Parents who host parties for youth may think they are being protective, but they are actually putting their youth at risk of physical and social consequences. Know the truth. Underage drinking and social hosting is a bad mix. For more information, contact Central Alabama Wellness, 205-651-0077, or visit centralalabamawellness.org.
All right, we're back here on Piper
man.
Peach Radio.
Good morning.
7:37, July the 6th. Hey, I want to thank Bama Benefits, Kim Robinson, This and That Vinyl, and Workout Anytime for
Thank
your
y'all.
sponsorship here on the Morning Mayhem. We couldn't do it without you. So, Bill, before we left for the break, we were talking Spivey's Toy Store.
Right.
And then it brought on me talking about a hobby shop next to me in Columbus, Georgia, which had all kind of cool stuff.
And I had one at Homewood called Homewood Toy and Hobby, which, by the way, is still in business.
Still in business.
Downtown Homewood.
Well, I brought up FAO Schwartz, and you said you had been to one at the
New York.
World's Fair in 1964. Is that what you
19
said? 64. Wow.
Yep.
Man, you
And
were
that
just
was
a
the
young
highlight.
guy then.
I was in the 6th grade.
Yeah,
or
you were about
something.
12 years old, 11 or 12 years old. I got to doing the math.
Yep, that's
You know,
about
not
right.
from naught. I can't
I was
remember
11,
how that
actually.
works.
I was
11. How about that?
Born in 53, so this is 64.
So you have good memories of it, and you got to go to FAO Schwartz. Tell us about that visit. I bet that was.
You know, first of all, here I am, a little old 11-year-old boy from Alabama.
Just say country boy. It's okay.
Yeah, I
Even though you
was.
were from the city.
Oh yeah, but I was still Alabama, and going to New York City. and never rode on I got to ride on the train. We didn't fly. We took the train to Washington.
All the way to New York?
To Washington, and then to New York, and then back to Washington and back home.
Well, that take more than a day to get up there? Obviously, more than a day.
We left in the afternoon and got there the next afternoon or something because we drove all night.
Yeah.
I remember going up through Virginians. I couldn't believe it. I'd never been on a train, certainly never been on an airplane, but I'd never been on a train. And we got to Washington, and we did all the touristy thing in Washington. And then we went to New York City. And that was mainly to go to the World's Fair. But also, we wanted to see the Empire State Building, and we wanted to go to FAO Schwarz. That was one of our... And so we were so excited that morning we were going to go to the world's largest toy store.
Yep, that's what they bill themselves as.
Yep, and we went there, and it did not disappoint.
Right.
And since I was there with my friend William Neely and his mom, just two boys, we didn't have to go through the girly parts or any of that. We went straight to all the boys' stuff and all the...
Was it stacked on top of each other,
yeah,
the
there was
floors?
Like 5 stories.
Yeah, I remember we went to FAO Schwarz in 2002, I believe it was, in Chicago. Downtown, somewhere in downtown Chicago. I told you, we just walked up on it. We were going, we liked the tall buildings. We were in the Sears Hancock, and we also went in the Sears Tower.
Yes.
Or they call that something else now.
Yeah, what they named it.
I'll have to think about it for a second.
It's another guy's name.
Yeah, it is.
Like the
Sears
Duggar
Tower and the... I can't remember, but I do remember walking up 6 flights of stairs to go to the different departments in FAO Schwarz, and I just thought it was the coolest thing ever.
All those toys, and the variety was limitless. I mean, when I was a 11-year-old boy, I just couldn't believe what I was seeing. It was, first of all, they had more, for instance, board games than I knew existed for anything on Earth. And then, of course, bicycles and tricycles and unicycles and pogo sticks and just crappy stuff you never saw much in Birmingham.
Right.
And then they did also have all these toys that I'd never seen because they were all winter things. They had sleds and toboggans and all this stuff that you could play with in the winter in New York and Chicago that Southerners never saw.
Didn't need down here, did you? Them. No, that's right. That's right.
It was weird. I even remember they had a plastic snowball maker. It looked like tongs, but and you could put the snow in it and squeeze it, and it'd make a really pretty snowball. And I thought that was so cool. And I thought I could have owned it for 10 years and never even used it. I mean, I'd never seen enough snow to make a snowball.
That's right.
But that was amazing. And, I kind of lament the toy stores being gone. Toys R Us and those places. Even as an adult, I sure enjoy looking at a lot of the toy stuff. Because now these kids have toys that I couldn't even have imagined in my youth. All the scientific and the electronic. Of course, some of it's not so good. I don't know that a lot of these electronic games are that good for them.
I don't know either.
I don't either.
Make them good pilots, I think, later they say. Combat pilots, because they learn how to use those.
Makes you wonder. They also say women make much better pilots generally than men, which is weird.
That's probably right. But one thing I remember about that trip was... our son has always had difficulty making a selection. You take him into a store
he just can't whittle it down.
He just wouldn't do it. He's just too much. He was just overkill. Yeah, overload. And he's in that FAO Schwarz, and he's probably 13, I guess, or so. In Chicago, and
he is pick something.
Yeah, of course. And
pick a toy.
And he couldn't pick from this floor because there was 4 other floors to go through. So we had to just kind of go and.
Well, you got to reconnoiter everything.
Exactly. It was just hilarious, but I can remember basically wanting to make the selection for him. It's like, okay, it's time to go. We've got to go because we mostly walked. I mean, I'm sorry, I'm cheap. So we'd walk 2 miles in Chicago, exactly. But I remember, Bill, being in Chicago, by far the biggest city that I'd ever been in up to that point. Even though I was, in '02, I would have been about 42. I had not spent a lot of time in big cities. My territory was Alabama, Mississippi, which, you had Birmingham and Jackson and Mobile and, Huntsville maybe, Montgomery too. But not too large of towns. But to be up there, and of course, we weren't making videos or anything back then, but I used to joke around. I'd walk around and I'd say, look at them big, tall buildings, And fortunately for me, about 10 years later, my job changed, and suddenly I became a national claims guy instead of a local.
So you started traveling.
Oh, I went to Chicago 4 or 5 times, and then L.A. and San Francisco.
Did you ever go in the winter?
No, I didn't.
Thank God.
Well, it wasn't like winter with
winter.
No, not that winter.
My dad was a dentist, and he was on the National Dental something board.
Right.
And so he had to go to Chicago for a meeting in December or January. I think it was January, because I think it was after Christmas. And it was for just a weekend. It was like he had to fly up on Thursday night and come home Sunday. He said, "You want to go with me?" I said, "Yeah." I was probably in my 20s.
Right.
So I went, and he said, "Now it's going to be cold. Get, pack accordingly." I said, "Okay."
Right.
So I took the heaviest coat I had. I had some layers, all that stuff. So we get, off the plane, go through the terminal, get our luggage, go right out, and get into a cab, and we go downtown. We stayed right in downtown because he was staying in the same hotel that the conference was in. So he wouldn't have to ever leave the hotel.
That's convenient.
Technically.
Right.
And that night that we went to bed, it was already cold when we got there, but one of those nor'easter or whatever they said came in overnight. So when I went to bed, looking out Chicago, it was nice. I got up the next morning and everything was white.
Blanketed.
And the wind was just, the whole building was moving. So Dad went to a meeting.
That sounds cold.
Well, it was horrible. It was like, I believe if I remember right, they said the wind chill outside was like 30 below, because it was actually like 12 degrees, but the wind was blowing at like 70 miles an hour. So my dad just got dressed, took a shower and got dressed and went on down, had breakfast and went to his meeting in the building. And I got up and got a shower after he left, slept a little later. I had pretty much all day to just stay in the hotel and do whatever I wanted to do. I mean, it's in my 20s, so it wasn't like I was a kid. So I thought, well, you know what I'll do? I'll get out and look, at least go to a building or two around. I can do that even with this ice and snow,
Famous last words.
Yeah, so I put on everything I had just about, including my heaviest jacket. I think I had a hoodie. I had like a sweatshirt, a hoodie over that, and my heaviest jacket. And I go down the elevator and I go in there to the, I had breakfast at the hotel. And I said, I think I'll just go out and wander around a little bit. I go toward the front door, and there's a bellman there, guy sitting there. And as I walked by him, I said, "Morning." He goes, "Morning." He says, "Whoa, whoa." I started through the door. He said, "Where you going?" I said, "Oh, I don't know. I was just going to go out." And he said, "Out where?" I said, "I don't know. I was going to look around, see what's around here." He said, dress like that?" I said, "Yeah." He said, "You're going to die." And I thought he was kind of joking. I went, "Yeah, I know." He goes, No, you're going to die."
It's dangerous.
I said, "I just go across the street." There was like a CVS or something over there. I was going to get some toothpaste. I don't know. I just wanted to get out. He said, "Nope." He wouldn't let me. So he said, "I'll tell you what." He said, they had a revolving door. He said, go around the revolving door and pause, but don't step out. So I said, "Oh, okay." So I got in it and I pushed I thought, this guy's an idiot. And when I opened my segment to the outside, it actually hurt me. It was like somebody hit me with an electric shock.
With a bat of cold.
I've never in my life felt, because the wind was blowing, and when I could tell when it started, it made that noise when it went like that, and this thing hit me, and my teeth, I thought they were going to
started
hurt. And I pushed on around, and I came back in. My eyes must have been big. He says, "Told you. Where are you from?" I said, "Alabama." He said, "Get back in the hotel." And, it was amazing. And there was, I should have known, because there was almost nobody out. people that were walking looked like Michelin men. You know, were all
Yeah.
just huge and bent over and had masks and balaclava things and
Oh, yeah.
just and hoods with fur everywhere. And I was in a jacket that might not have been adequate down here on a bed. I didn't own a heavy jacket. Well, I called it my heavy jacket.
Yeah.
And, it was not worthy of, it might do you good if you got down into the 30s.
I call my heavy jacket, it's a puffy jacket from
Puffy, I had a
from
puffy.
Seinfeld, you
Yeah,
know.
a puffy
But
jacket.
I worked for a company out of Des Moines, and we would always have a meeting in January. I mean, I'm not kidding. They was just
January in Des Moines, Iowa?
yes,
Why?
and it was because it was the first of
'Cause
the
they
year.
hated you and they wanted you to
I don't
die?
know what it was. I was hoping that's not it, but
That way they didn't
anyway,
have to fire you. They just killed you.
exactly. But man, that was the airport would close. It was not open,
Yeah.
and you would. We were delayed one night. And we got there like 11:30, almost midnight. Ended up sharing a cab with another lady because there was one cab out there and then two of us. But we walked out of one end of that thing, and the cabs were on the other end.
Oh,
And the wind hit me come around that curve, and I mean I had on long johns. I'd
were
been there
ready.
before, but I was not ready for 25 below, and the wind's cutting through my jacket like it was nothing.
I did understand how people, up until then, and I was in my 20s, I never understood how cold could kill somebody quickly. I always thought, okay, if you're out in the woods camping and, and you get lost and you have to just lay down on the ground for the night and you're going to die. You could die overexposure hours.
Yeah, right.
I never understood that you could literally die within minutes if it's that, because I'd never experienced in
Yeah.
Alabama.
Yeah.
The worst I think I'd ever gotten. I remember my record, and you may not know if you know your own record or not. What's the coldest you've ever been in your life? And I can remember one time when I was a kid, we had one of those weird cold snaps in Alabama, and it was 8 degrees with a wind chill of like, they barely used to not mention wind chill much, but I do remember.
I do remember that.
That's the first
when they
time.
started that.
Yeah, and I think it was like 6 below or something like that. It wasn't really that windy. I mean, but it was only, I think maybe 7 degrees outside, and that was the coldest I'd ever been in my life. Well, it wasn't that bad to me. I was a kid. I layered up. I put on like 4 pairs of socks. I didn't stay out long, but that's the coldest I'd ever experienced until I went to Chicago.
Yeah.
And when that
Can't compete with
wind
that
hit me
coming off the lake like
off
it
the
does.
lake,
Oh,
it really built some
extremely
respect.
cold.
It also told me that I was not built to be a Yankee.
You were a Southerner.
I came home and I doubled up on grits and fried okra, and
Yeah,
I
exactly.
did not want to go.
Well,
I
we
did
don't
not
have
wanna
that
go
problem
north.
these days with our weather. But y'all listen, it is 7:52. We're going to go to our last break.
Oh, yeah.
And we'll be right back after these words from our sponsors. You're watching a Dollar Bill and Mike on the Morning Mayhem. Piper
Looking for the perfect way to unwind, compete, and have fun with friends or family? Then Putter Up Pelham is your next destination. Whether you're a mini golf pro or just out for a good time, Putter Up offers a one-of-a-kind indoor putting experience with custom effects lighting, sounds, and robotics at each hole, plus automated scoring and a virtual caddy to guide your game. And our ADA-compliant courses include special putters for individuals using wheelchairs or walkers, so everyone can join the fun from ages 4 to 100. Rain or shine, day or night, it's always game time at Putter Up. Come for the fun, stay for the challenge. Swing by Putter Up, where every stroke counts. Traditions come and go, but excellent service and compassionate care are benchmarks in any era. That's what Ellison Memorial Funeral Home is committed to providing you, whether through the pre-arrangement process or seeking services at your time of loss. Ellison Memorial offers a noticeable level of care and attention to detail. Others do not. So before making a decision based on yesterday's traditions, experience the Ellison difference when it comes to your loved one's final arrangements. You'll be glad you did. Call us today at 205-280-4600. Ellison Memorial Funeral Home, setting the new standard in local funeral service excellence. We are always here when you need us.
Underage drinking is deemed by many adults to be a rite of passage. Parents who host parties for youth may think they are being protective, but they are actually putting their youth at risk of physical and social consequences. Know the truth. Underage drinking and social hosting is a bad mix. For more information, contact Central Alabama Wellness, 205-651-0077, or visit centralalabamawellness.org.
Good morning. It is 7:56 now. It's about 4 minutes away from 8 o'clock. Going to be a hot day again today, but not as bad. 90 degrees or so is our high today, but humid. And we do have a chance of scattered afternoon thunder showers especially. Want to thank Farmers Furniture for being one of our sponsors. I tell you what, we're so thankful of all of our sponsors. And we love, I know, people don't love commercials. Let's face it. But let me tell you what, these folks that we talk about and the commercials we play are really important because they're the ones that allow us to have Piper Peach Radio on the air and serving the community.
That's correct,
I
Bill.
mean, it's their money that they pay for their advertising, and we hope that you'll take and know that these people are helping the community by helping this station, and go see them at Farmers Furniture. Yeah. And then Wood Surfside Marina. Wood Surfside services like 3 different lakes: Lay, Logan Martin, probably Mitchell.
Yeah, Mitchell. Absolutely,
and,
Mitchell.
That's amazing. And they're really nice people who really take care of people that want boats. They have new and used boats. They're the ones that put the boats in front of the stage for our Peach Jam. That
Peach
was
Jam,
our little
20,
VIP.
26. Yes, they did.
They gave us the extra $250 to just add to giving away that money this last week, where we gave away $250 every day, and then $500. It was going to be $250 for our 250th anniversary of the country, every day, Monday through Friday. They gave us another one so we could do 2 winners on Friday. So
and that was a big deal. Nice. Boy, people were really excited about that. Yeah. And there was, like I said, I don't know, 1,500 people, I would say, there at Jemison when we made the announcement of who won. Yeah. And we got the crowd all fired up, thinking they had it. Well, some of them did have a shot because a lot of them had registered, but we were not able to get the word out as well as we wanted to.
Well, that's okay.
But we
had $500 we gave away that night.
That's right. But 2 people walked away real happy. One guy said, "What do you think now?" I said, "Should I take this money and get a fast food dinner, or should we go eat steak?" And Taylor told him, he said, "Well, you might not win $250 very often. You might want to go and go for the steak."
For the steak.
Oh, they laughed and had a good laugh about it. And I don't know what, he probably didn't buy him anything.
Actually, $250, you could get steak dinner and some fast food.
Yes, you could.
And still have gas money left over.
Yeah, that's right.
That's a lot
true.
of money.
That is. It was, and it was a great setting. I told you about the trains coming through after the fireworks show.
What happened?
There was a train that came through right as the fireworks show ended, and the fireworks had been set up probably 300 feet off of the railroad track. Right.
Oh man.
City of Jemison has done so much work on their got so many plans, and we had the mayor on a few weeks ago last week talking about that. But it was like perfect timing, Bill. Immediately after the fireworks show, it had ended, and there wasn't a lot of breeze, so the smoke was just kind of stuck in the air, hanging in the air. There you go, hanging in the air. And right after Here Comes This Train, it was blasting its horn. It went right through that smoke, and of course the smoke goes everywhere. And the crowd, everybody saw it. Everybody got excited about it. So a lot of people said they thought that was part of the show. That they had timed that.
That's pretty cool.
Which I don't know that they didn't, but I know that during the whole event last Friday, there was probably 4 or 5 trains that went through.
Oh yeah.
And so
that's an active track.
Oh, it is. And in fact, there was one where it went through, and then like a minute or two later, there was another one coming north. One went south, but because right below that, there's like the tracks are widened so that the trains can. It's a long deal. That's right, exactly, and that's another pretty marvelous engineering feat, that we were just talking about. But yeah, man, that was a great time, and we appreciate everybody who contributed to that, and all of our folks who came by and spoke to us.
You see where they think that plane that was landing in, was it Washington or some big city, a Delta airplane got hit by a fireworks? It was coming in for a landing, and a big shell blew up and hit the plane. It landed safely, fine, but the pilot told the tower, "We've just been hit by fireworks," and they're assessing the airplane now to see if there was any particular damage.
No, I did not hear that.
Yeah, so they somebody almost shot down an airliner with a
you guys, you and Mary, you ever do any of your own fireworks?
Who did I?
Yeah.
Oh,
not anymore.
No. Oh no, we did. I used to actually. It's obscene how much money I would spend on fireworks at the 4th of July. Now I didn't do it much I did some at Christmas, New Year's, whatever. But 4th of July, I used to just be obscene. All my friends knew that
you would put on your own show.
I would, and I love the big mortars. The big tubes.
Yeah,
where they go boom and they go way up and they're really big. I like the little stuff too, and I love the boxes. I forgot there's a name for them that you just light this big box and it just goes crazy like 200 things. I love those too, but I love the mortars and I love the big rockets. And I would I'd put on a show for all the neighbors. That we had a place for years up on Neely Henry, and I'd go down and just really create a fireworks display on our dock, and then all the neighbors would watch.
Oh yeah, especially over the water.
When I lived in Alabaster, thank God I'm friends with most of the Alabaster police. Thank you, sirs, because
throw you under the jail.
Oh, son, I'd put on. And then my neighbors were decent about all that trash. You forget when you shoot a lot of fireworks off, that's a lot of plastic and paper laying around or drifting down.
Yeah, we got to clean that up today.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I was pretty bad about that. So I was a fireworks freakazoid. And I still love it. I don't have the mobility and the age now where I can bend over and run and do stuff. And no one ever really got hurt. I told you. I know this might have been Friday when you weren't here. I used to be at Vulcan for years when they did the Thunder on the Mountain and the big fireworks display, because our radio station was a sponsor, and I'd be there. And one year there's a famous picture, and I'm still gonna look it up in the archives. One of the massive shells misfired, and when it blew up, those shells are about the size of a basketball. And they go off with a mortar shot, and they go up a couple of 100 feet, and then, the huge explosion.
Right.
Blocks of explosion. This one didn't go up very high and came down and went off right on the ground. And there's a picture that was in the Birmingham News the next morning.
People scattering.
Vulcan looked like little bitty with this massive explosion around behind it.
Oh, man.
It was that big of an explosion. And me and my buddy Raymond were up there when that happened.
There's Raymond again.
I dragged him up there with me and Raymond. And we turned, and just as we did, that shell went off on the ground, and I remember it looked like a Star Wars thing when they go into hyperdrive. All these white
Flew by
flaming things
you.
went flying by us. I got burned on my ear. One went right by my ear and burnt my earlobe.
Ouch.
And Raymond had one bounce off the ground and hit him in the ankle and burn his ankle. Nobody got killed.
Nobody sued, probably.
Nah.
Not in those
But,
days.
I mean, if you were up there, you had to sign a waiver anyway.
Oh, really?
The public was not even
pretty
allowed
tight quarters
near it.
up there, isn't it?
Yeah, it's right under Vulcan. We actually,
Yeah.
they set up all the racks right on Vulcan's property, and it was amazing. And I'd never thought about how dangerous it was to be around. I was up there for years before that happened. But, oh my God, I'd love to find that picture again because Raymond and I were right in the middle of that.
Well, I was so tickled, Bill, this weekend at our granddaughter, who is 6. Victoria is her name.
Victoria.
And her daddy loves fireworks and always has. And this time I got a couple of really big packages, biggest ones I've ever bought, and brought them home. And, I was joking with my wife because he literally put on a show for us, just a private fireworks show. But I was laughing at Victoria because I was telling my wife, I said, she's squealing like a little girl. And of course, she is a little girl, but it was just so fun.
Did she like it?
Oh, she loved it.
Kids go two ways when they're that little.
Yeah.
They either love it or they're scared to death of the noise and it hurts the ears and they hate it. Most of the kids love it. Bangs and lights and all that. But some kids, I've seen some kids react really. They were just scared to death, and of course dogs. There's a lot of dogs that'll also lose their minds.
Oh yeah, they hide, don't they? A lot of them.
Shake and
But
almost have heart
Victoria
attacks.
absolutely was thrilled and
Good.
squealing, and it was just, I don't know, it was just so funny. I was glad because my son was doing all the lighting. I really didn't want to touch
that
it.
way you can sit back and enjoy
I know,
it.
and we had the biggest stuff I've ever bought.
That's
now, it's probably
great.
not as big as you were just describing, but it was.
Well, you're smarter than me, and
plenty
you wouldn't
good
waste
for
your money.
for around our house. Well, it was still about $150 worth, so that's a pretty good bid. I thought
it is.
I never done that before, but we had a blast. Well, Bill, it is 8:06.
By the way, I
we've
just
had a
wanna
great time
tell
this
you that
morning with you.
When I'm around fireworks,
Yeah.
I squeal like a little 6-year-old girl too. Just squeal like a
That
little.
would be worth the price of admission, right there.
Love it. Squeal like a little girl.
Oh,
it's
gosh.
been a great morning. Thank you, and hope everybody again is feeling okay after our 4th of July weekend. God bless America. Everything went pretty well. I always worry when we have these big celebrations of American history or hit milestones. Nowadays you just worry so much about some kind of terrorist attack.
Yep.
We were very lucky. I heard there was a guy that tried to shoot up at the White House, guy running around up like that, and they got him. And then there's been a few things, but really it was a beautiful celebration this weekend all across the nation. Very few negative things. Apparently not a whole lot of fatalities and stuff. I haven't heard about traffic and all that.
Yeah, that'll come out maybe even today, or probably today.
Yeah, but it didn't. I haven't. Usually you'll hear when something really tragic has happened real time. I hope it all came out to be a really beautiful 250th celebration of this country, and it's nice to see so many people. We may have divisions on a daily basis, divisions on thoughts, divisions on feelings, but on one day a year like that, we can come together and all be Americans and be proud of the country we live in. I'm all for it.
Amen.
I love it. We're lucky people.
Well, that's a great way to end the show, Bill.
Well, thank you. You have a good